So it's my
Yeah,
turn.
so it's on you. Yeah.
All right. Is this the third one? Do we care?
Yeah, we're on the third one. Yeah.
Okay. We're gonna do
Actually, yeah,
five.
we you should be
Our
on the
show's
third one.
sorry. Our show's called Five Questions, by the way.
Yeah. Five-ish.
Um, is there somewhere you won't go um, by yourself? Somewhere where you feel unsafe to visit anytime?
Hmm. This is a very good question. I'm assuming you mean like go to like a predominantly white community because you think I'll get or because I think I'll get racially profiled or something.
Yeah.
Me personally, no. But that's because growing up, I went to I went to a Montessori school and for preschool and kindergarten, and that was probably the first school I ever go to. As far as we had a ton of Indian students, a decent amount of like Eastern Asian students, bunch of white kids, a decent amount of black kids. I don't know. We probably didn't have any Native Americans. I'm not sure if we had any Jewish or like Middle Eastern people. But when I say diverse, I mean it was very diverse. Our teachers were mainly Indian because the like headmaster of the school was Indian. But we also had some like black teachers, a couple white ones. It just like the staff, students, everything was super diverse. After that, I went to a very well off like middle school from first through eighth grade. I went where LeBron's kids went, so you can
Oh,
imagine
really?
like how nice the school was. Yeah. And then after that, I went to a relatively like so predominantly white high school, but it was representative of like the nation's population as a whole. So we were probably between like 13 and 17% black. Probably like 60 to 70, somewhere in there, percent white. So like that's all to say I've been very comfortable around white people my whole life. And I grew up learning how to navigate in like a white space. So I'm comfortable around white people, even if they're not comfortable around me. I have had positive and negative interactions with police officers, but I know how to be respectful. Because like even though I could be angry about things, like I know ultimately, at least in like the media, when I'm actually in that situation, like that's not going to help anything. So I'm not afraid of getting like the police called on me and me having to like work my way out of that situation. It'd be unfortunate, like when it has happened, it's crappy, but it's something I'm comfortable navigating and like working myself out of. And like I've had friends that have lived in like really snotty, nice like neighborhoods and everything. Like I grew up in the suburbs myself. So like being racially profiled in neighborhoods like that does happen, but it's not something that I concern myself with enough to where I wouldn't go there. And aside from that, I can't really think of any other space where I'd really be nervous. I know when I went to like Italy, I traveled abroad for a little while because I was studying abroad in Spain. And Italy has a very intense history with like racism as well. And like they still like, I mean, if anyone, like any viewers of this know anything about soccer, if you know anything about like soccer, Rob, they have some like really racist fans. They do a lot of monkey chants. They'll throw like bananas on the fields of like black players and stuff over there. And I had a lot of people warn me like, watch out when you go to Italy. When I was living at Case, I went to Case Western when I was living over there. They have like a Little Italy over there, and I remember a bunch of the black kids at Case were like, "Watch out going to Little Italy," because like some people don't want you there.
Oh,
So I was wary at first, but once I got out and actually like tried it, I was like, I'm not gonna stay away from this place my whole like 4 years here. So like once I got out and went there, like I had no poor experiences happen to me. I know people that did, but like I was totally fine there, personally. Um, so I was a little wary when I went abroad in Italy, but aside from that, I'm usually pretty confident wherever I go, just because I know how I present myself, and I can usually dispel some of people's immediate stereotypes they might have about Black people. Um, Oh, okay. I like this one. How do terms like white supremacy and white privilege make you feel?
They make me feel. I think they exist. I don't deny them. White privilege applies to me. I have a different reaction to it than white supremacy. White supremacy makes me. It's kind of a scary concept. Um, Kind of the worst of white human nature. So white supremacy, I kind of have a, and because it's my race, um, I'm part of it. I have to feel some ownership of it. So
Mm,
white supremacy makes me a lot more uncomfortable than white privilege does. Um, but both are part of my makeup, to be honest. So the not so much like I don't think all white people have a supremacy mindset, but because
mhm.
it's still, we don't work hard enough to end it. We're probably the ones most suited to end it. So um,
Mm,
have to own it.
okay.
But it's the worst part about whiteness for me, definitely.
First part about what?
Whiteness,
Yeah.
especially when the kind of those promoting it, those who feel that way, feel that there is a difference, feel that there is a superior race, are not the ones I would trot out as the best examples of enlightened, intelligent
Yeah.
white people. So it's also an oxymoron. Um,
Yeah, right. Yeah, it is. That's funny. I've never thought
so
about it like that, but you're right.
so that's kind of how I feel about it.
And
Go ahead.
did you have something?
Hmm.
I guess a follow-up question to that. How do you try to use your white privilege in order to advance or do away with racism in the country? And how would you recommend to other like white listeners to use their white privilege in order to um, get rid of racism?
I think the easiest, and well, some people might not find it easy, but just confronting it when you hear it. And like as an example, and I'm not on Facebook or anything, which is probably a good thing. I'd probably get in trouble there. But well, maybe I should get on Facebook. But like back when email was big. Oh, he might watch this sometime. That's right. Emails with racist jokes in them.
Mm,
Um, Nothing really bad, but jokes that were racist and shouldn't
yeah,
be shared.
yeah.
And so I would send an email to, and I would reply all. And he usually did, with forwarding stupid stuff. And I'd reply all, and I'd say, please don't share this kind of thing with me. I work with a lot of students of color, however, it's probably not that politically correct, but I work with a lot of black kids,
Hmm.
and I don't think this is funny. And then he'd reply just, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't, that was an accident. I did, I didn't mean to send that. So it did have an impact, and then I never got those emails again. Now, whether he would just take me off the loop and send them to other people,
Yeah, and send them to everyone else. Yeah.
uh, I don't know, but I think more white people need to do that. If you hear something that you wouldn't want, um, a black person sitting next to you to hear or see, then say that, and be it on Facebook or um, even if someone's speaking racially because no minorities are around, white conversations, people will say things that they wouldn't in a mixed crowd. But just because it's not a mixed crowd doesn't mean you shouldn't confront it if you feel differently about it. And so just stopping people and saying, that's not me, please don't talk that way around me, um, when no one's looking, I think is what
Yeah.
more white people need to do.
Yeah, I'm with you there. It's not easy at all. I've had to check myself when I've been around friends that are like, "Oh, that's so gay," or "That's so," I'm like using the R word. Um, and like having to step into that like very uncomfortable space, and this is why so few people do it, because it's so uncomfortable to be the one to like stand up. but just being like, yo, that's not cool. Like, don't say that. Like, just use any other word, but stop disparaging people. So yeah, I'm with you there. Just like standing up for populations and like leaning into that discomfort as much as you can and being willing to have those uncomfortable conversations. It's definitely a good place to start.
Okay. All right. My question number 4. I'm glad I get to ask you this because I've been wanting to. Handshakes. So in the Black community, and even the school kids will reach out to shake my hand, and I, just
Oh, God. Yeah.
most people will just roll with it like this. So basically, I don't know the handshake.
Yeah.
So are there different handshakes? Is there one that you use just for white people to keep it simple? And then I'm not talking like the LeBron different handshake for every team.
Yeah, of course.
And then usually if I meet a Black man or woman women don't really do the handshake.
Yeah.
If for the first time we'll do I don't know what you would call it, official formal handshake, the white way where you just do this.
The white way.
Black men that have known me for a while will slip into the fancy one, and
grip. Yeah.
I'm always so embarrassed because I don't know the steps. Should I not do that if I don't know the person? Just basically walk me through the handshake experience
protocol
as you live it.
That's funny. That's a good question for this like video series. So first, it's called like a grip, like gripping somebody up, where it's impossible to do with yourself, but you can like at the angle and like grab around. Right. We were together.
And then this.
The what?
It goes from this
to and then this. You close it and your thumbs, exactly. Yeah. So it's fun. As I've gotten older, I've had trouble with that experience myself, because when I meet like older Black men, so with kids my age, like it's always like a grip up because we're young, early. So I'd say with all kids, both Black and white, like men. So with women, or with the younger women, like I don't do it. We'll just either meet and I'll give like a handshake to women, or if they're comfortable, like I'll just go in for a hug. I'm a hugger personally. But with all like young men, either Black or white, I'll usually do a grip up, but I had trouble when I was getting older with older Black men, excuse me, older white men, I always do a handshake, but with older Black men, a lot of times I would go in for a handshake because I'm trying to be like formal and respectful, and they would go in for a grip. And then for anyone that's had this happen, you can feel the awkwardness, and then you kind of just have to both like adjust to make it work. But man, that's such a good question. It depends on the comfort of the situation. Still, I haven't always figured it out. So I think I think it depends on the, I won't say background, but the like setting you're in. So if it's like a work conference or something a little more formal, I say go with a handshake. But like if you're meeting your best friend's like brother, like if your best friend's Black, you're meeting his brother for the first time, and it's like a really casual meetup. You're like, oh, what's up? Nice to meet you. Then you could just go and like grip him up. But like that. But from a white person's perspective, now that I think could be seen as cultural appropriation or as like a stereotype if you were to go in. So for me, that'd be cool. For you, if you were to go in first for a grip, they'd be like, I don't know, you like that? Like, why are you trying to grip me up before you even like shake my hand or meet me? Right. So, okay. I have never thought about that in my entire life from like a white perspective before. I would stick with the handshake unless you're super comfortable with them, and if you can tell they're going for like a grip and a hug, then like go for it. But as a older white man, I would probably stick with the handshakes. I think people would be a little weirded out if you went straight to the grip up.
That's assuming too much.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
But mostly, all right, if we ever get to be with each other in person again, we'll have to practice it, because that's part of it too. Is
yeah,
I'm not really good at it.
Yeah, okay. It's so, I guess, yeah, it is kind of a practice thing. It's funny hearing I'm not good at it. Yeah, I guess you do need a little practice. Next time we see each other and like we're comfortable touching, I got you, Rob. We can practice
And wear
it.
gloves.
Yeah, it's there you go. It's easier than it looks, and it's quick and it's smooth. Once you get it down, you see why people do it. It's way better than a handshake. It's more personal than a handshake.
I can't tell you how many times after one, I think this guy must think I'm an idiot.
Yeah,
It's kind of embarrassing.
Yeah, I can imagine. That's funny.
They probably get a kick out of it.
I'm sure. All right, my last question, and the most important one. What's your favorite Marvel movie? Because there's only one right answer. Oh God!
First of all, I stopped after like the 12th one. I haven't seen them all.
You're thinking Avengers. I'm just talking Marvel.
Oh, Marvel. Well, so
Rob,
there's been even more.
I'm gonna have to shut the video off.
Marvel.
You're gonna lose your whole audience here if you don't.
I'm just making sure I'm not leaving any Marvel titles out. Iron Man.
Oh God, Black Panther, man. Oh, you just lost everybody.
I did see Black Panther.
You have to think that's the best one. You lose your black card if your honorary black card if you don't think Black Panther is the best Marvel movie.
All right. So if I'm around a mixed crowd of people like talking about, should I like pretend like that one's my favorite?
Pretend like you really like Black Panther
for cred, or will they think, oh, he's making that up just because?
If it's not actually your favorite Marvel movie, I wouldn't pretend like it was. And that was half serious, obviously more of a joke question. But what my final question was, you already kind of answered when I asked you about I see a follow-up question about how white people use their privilege. And like, that was a question I had thought of before. And then my last real question was like, how do you think white people can help end racism in America? But you sort of already answered that. And if you want to add anything on, cool, but I feel like you kind of went over it.
No, I do want to add Black Panther wasn't in one of the Avenger movies, wasn't he?
He was.
All right. But I guess it wasn't an original Avenger. No, I don't think so. I think we talked about it a bit.
All right.
I mean, I not that I don't think there's anything else. I don't have more.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Maybe it's something we can revisit each time a little bit. All right, let me look at my list real quick. Oh, I'll give you an easy one. And given your upbringing, you might not get it, but I find this fascinating. Black kids are fascinated with my arm hair and touching my hair. And the funny thing is, you've got to be careful in a school setting with touching kids. It's a rule. You don't do it. But I've had probably a handful of kids come up to me and say, "May I touch your arm?" And if they ask permission, I let them do it. Or if I'm kneeling down with small kids,